Hello guys, and welcome to another tutorial from Riverside X Studios. My name is Will, and today guys I am going to be showing you how to use Logic's Pro Channel EQ. So for the purpose of this tutorial I've loaded in a loop from Apple's loop library. If you want to know how to do that, all you need to do is just go over to this here, Apple Loops, click on there, and as you can see you have loads to choose from. Right, so let's get started. I'm going to be talking about EQ. Now, EQ can be used in two ways. It can be used to boost frequencies, and it can also be used to cut. Think of it almost as a volume control for specific frequencies. So, if for example you want to target the volume of a frequency in the low range, then an EQ can do that. So if we go ahead and open up our stock EQ that comes with Logic Pro X, first things first, we can change our size of the window. So I tend to have mine at 150%, as it gives a really clear overview of exactly what I'm doing. However, you can go to 50% or max it out to 200%, which is a little bit too big for the screen that I am using. Anyway, I'm going to keep it at 150. Alright, now straight away, for people who are beginners, you have the option of choosing presets, and as you can see there are loads to choose from, and these are really good for people who are just getting started out and need a template to work from. I'm just going to play you the loop that I have here. Okay, so I've used a bass. It's a synth bass. So by opening up the channel EQ, and I'll show you how to do that, just click on the track that your instrument is playing in and go over to Audio Effects and go to EQ and Channel EQ. Okay, so let's say for example you are a beginner and you want to find out what you can do with this bass sound. If you go into guitar, you have a few things here: bass boost EQ, E-bass, electric jazz bass. Now these aren't really specific for what we are doing here, but I'm just going to go to an electric bass EQ. And if we look at the curves that we have here now, it's got a low pass filter here, and it also has a little boost around the 940 Hertz range, and then it's got a low shelf at around 72 Hertz. Now this isn't really helpful for what we're doing, so I'm just going to go to record default. Now in terms of using this application, at the top here we have the type of filters that we can apply to our frequencies. So starting at the bottom we have a low cut filter, which is also known as a high pass. We have our low shelf, and then we have some notch filters here, and then here we have a high shelf, and then here we have a high cut filter or a low pass. So the purpose of, for example here, this is a low cut. This is used to take out some of the low frequency elements from our frequency range, and over here this is used to take out some high frequencies from our frequency range. Okay, now with these that you can see, which is the low shelf and high shelf, what these do is if you put these up, they boost a area of frequency. Okay, so it's starting at 75, but as you can see it's also affecting all the way down to 20 Hertz. The same as if we was to go to the high shelf, it is affecting from, in this case, 7500 Hertz all the way up to 20. Okay. Another thing guys, if you want to reset your EQ, all you need to do is just go to recall default. Okay. Now the notch EQs that we have here too, they work in a similar fashion. You pick the band in which you want your frequency to be affected in, and down here you can choose your Q, and that determines how big of the frequency or how small you are going to be affecting. So if we take it down to say 2, and we can boost or we can cut, and you can also sweep that along like that. Alright, another thing guys as well, maybe you're working and you want to increase your workflow. So another great thing in Logic is that you can also save EQ presets, and I have a few here. I've got an Abbey Road reverb, modern rap vocal, snare and other stuff. So that's really good if you want to increase or speed up your workflow within Logic Pro. Another thing guys which is really good is the Analyser, and what this does is it shows you where the frequencies are being taken by the instrument or whatever it is in your track playing. So if we play this bass again and hit the Analyzer button, we're going to be able to see exactly where the frequencies are taking up in the spectrum. So as we can see, it's got a lot of frequency building up around the 73 Hertz range and not so much in the high range. So this is really great for understanding what's going on. And I also use this as well to cross-reference tracks together. You know, in music production mixing, you might sometimes, for example, have a kick drum and a bass playing at the same time, and they might be sharing the same frequency range at, say for example, 70 Hertz. So what you can, and the way you would find this out is obviously if you have another track open, and I'm just gonna open up a kick drum, let's see. Okay, so I have my kick drum and a bass. So what I can go ahead and do is open up my channel EQ on my bass and also put a channel EQ on my kick, and then I'm going to have both of them open now at the same time. Let's just change the view slightly so that we can fit them both on the screen. Change it to 75%. Now I'm going to put the Analyzer now on both, and we're going to be able to see where in the frequency range these two instruments are sharing the same information at. So from looking at this frequency together, I can see that both of them are sharing quite a lot of low range together. So by opening up the two together, we can then decide which one of the instruments we'd like to cut to make room for the other, so that they don't collide together and make your mix muddy. This is a great thing that you can do anyway in other DAWs or plugins that share this Analyzer mode, but I would just like to say that this is a really great feature in Logic Pro. Really good for finding what frequencies are going on and using them together on two tracks to find out where you could boost or cut to make room for the other one. Lastly, now what I'd like to go into detail is the processing modes now. So this is a stereo mode. Now what this means is it is covering the frequency in the entire range, so think from left all the way into the center to the right. Now that's great, but sometimes you might just decide that you want to EQ the sides. Okay, the side information could be, for example, when you have a bass and you want to cut any low-end frequency that might be leaking into the sides left and right. So to do this, what you would do is click side, and on the bass we can scoop out a lot of that low end. as that, guys, we can also affect the mid, which is the center of the mix, and with that we could potentially give it a bit more in the low end, so we could potentially boost at say 70. If I just use actually a notch filter and go around there, just bring the Q to about 2 and give it say about plus 3 decibels. So that's pretty much everything covered in this tutorial, guys. I hope it has helped you understand the Logic Pro's EQ. Once again, if you have any questions about this tutorial, please drop a comment down below. If you've liked this video, hit up the thumbs up button, and don't forget to subscribe for more tutorials coming soon.